Hey guys, if you're new to Deception Bytes, hit the like and subscribe button and be sure to hit the bell to be notified of future videos. If you wish to support the channel, the links are in the description below. Now, fasten your seatbelt. Here we go. Okay guys, I'm back, and probably some of you were wondering where I've been. I was in Toronto for the past 2 days. I needed to take my mother to visit my aunt. So that is where I've been, and I am back now. I'm getting a little bit of a late start tonight. It's Thursday, August 8th, and it's 9:28 p.m. Now, what I'm going to be doing is, of course, there are no Q posts because there's no platform on which Q can post. So we're going to be going over the Q-related news, and the first video that I'm going to do is going to be a short one because I want to get it uploaded. Because by now, probably some of you are worrying about me because you're very sweet people, and I know that you do worry when I don't post. You think, well, maybe she's been taken down from YouTube or what have you. So I'm here, I'm okay, and I'm ready to post. I am very glad to be back, and I'm ready to get at it. Now, I am going to be doing 2 videos tonight, but the first one will be on the shorter side so I can get it uploaded and get something out there for you guys to look at, so you don't think that I've fallen off the face of the earth. Now, let's go over here and get right to it. And the first thing I had to make myself a little note here so I wouldn't forget. I wanted to say that what I uploaded or what I discussed in the very last video, it was either the last video or the video before that about the Trump portrait. I'm sorry, that is Sammy, and of course he is quiet as a mouse until I start to record, but we'll just ignore him. Anyway, the Trump portrait, that was a fake video. Now, I realized, and somebody said, well, I was clued into it being fake because the sound, the glass, crashing, sounded fake. I also thought it sounded fake, but I thought that had been just added to it for effect, and I had seen this video so many places that I assumed it was that this was true. But someone actually sent me the actual footage, and that did not happen. It was in Colorado, and they were unveiling Trump's portrait, and of course Obama's portrait did not fall to the ground and smash. So I wanted to openly apologize for that. I do like to come back and tell you when I have been wrong about something. For one, I don't want to lose credibility, and number 2, I think that it's just the right thing to do, because if I have spread disinformation, then I want to correct that as best I can. So I did want to let you know, and now I am just going to go on and pick up. Some of this is news from a couple days ago, and some of it is news from today. So we will just get started here, and I'll probably go for a half hour or more and then upload that and do a second video. All right, let's just take this stuff as it comes here. Now, this is from the True Pundit, and it's from 2 days ago, so it's not fresh off the press, but it's not considered old news yet, I wouldn't think. Sex scandal rocks the FBI. Top agents under fire for reported sexual affairs with CNN reporters. Well, isn't that interesting? I think that is highly, highly interesting, seeing as CNN is really in bed with the deep state. I find this quite fascinating. So high-ranking FBI insiders say they reported top-level FBI brass for continued sexual romps with CNN reporters, but former FBI Director James Comey and his successor Christopher Wray looked the other way. Now, interesting that Christopher Wray is mentioned here because we have been told to trust Wray. So is this something that Trump was unaware of when Q and the Trump administration said to trust Wray? Or is Wray maybe not so trustworthy after all? And perhaps this was when Q said disinformation is necessary. Perhaps this is one of those times when disinformation was necessary. I don't know. Either way, it's curious. So Comey and Christopher Wray looked the other way and did nothing. The extramarital affair between FBI boss Peter Strzok and FBI top lawyer Lisa Page is public knowledge. Page has resigned from the Bureau. Now Strzok's name has surfaced again in regards to the unfolding CNN scandal, according to FBI insiders. And other top FBI bosses are implicated as well for sexual trysts with CNN reporters and anchors. CNN. Talk about being in bed with the enemy. Anyway, here is what we know. High-level FBI officials complained to the highest executive offices of the FBI that Strzok and more top agents were engaged in sexual relationships with CNN's on-air personnel. Those high-ranking sources say top management did not investigate the reports, and the relationships continued, and the sexual romps still might continue today. FBI agents having sexual relations with the media is something that is not only frowned upon at the FBI, but also highly problematic. Yeah, CNN likes to portray that they are unbiased. Well, it's hard to say that you're unbiased if you're sleeping with the FBI. And of course, we know that they are probably the most biased news organization on the face of the earth. So those high-ranking sources say top management did not investigate the reports and the relationships continued. Okay, and they still might continue today. Sorry, I will reread that. FBI agents having sexual relationships with the media is something that is not only frowned upon, but also highly problematic. Look no further than the classified leaks that CNN has published. Excuse me, I have to rescue my cord from the cat, and of course, there we go. All right, sorry. I do apologize. Let me get my Acme cat be gone. A little spritz will do it. Okay, let me continue here. Look no further than the classified leaks that the CNN has published, breaking anti-Trump stories with inside information from Justice Department insiders. Well, now we know the leakers are also the layers. They're, laying in bed with the enemy. Everyone saw the text between Strzok and Page, but they both worked here. One FBI insider said, "I can imagine the text between agents and their girlfriends who don't have a security clearance." Yeah, that might be problematic. Eye roll. And who are paid to publicize insider intelligence or spread rumors the anti-Trump FBI bosses want to spread, a perfect setup for fake news or an organized propaganda underground to slander the Trump White House or other enemies. Strzok and Page, for instance, were caught leaking stories to the Washington Post and other mainstream news outlets, according to the content of their texts, which have been made public. The content of those stories had a negative slant towards President Donald Trump. FBI insiders believed classified and sensitive intelligence was leaked to CNN as a byproduct of agents engaged in sexual affairs. Strzok also worked as an investigator for Robert Mueller's probe of President Trump and his campaign before the FBI boss was fired from the team for anti-Trump texts. Mueller's team also leaked several stories during the time frame Strzok was employed under Mueller. Many of those stories were first published by CNN. The FBI for decades did not permit married agents to engage in extramarital affairs with anyone, especially members of the media. That offense was grounds for termination because FBI directors like Louis Freeh believed agents could be compromised by blackmail and outside influence, and therefore the practice was outlawed. While Freeh was a strict taskmaster on the subject, Comey and Wray looked the other way. Ignoring such problematic reports has angered many FBI agents and bosses, and the fact that the troubling allegations, which were provided in detail to Comey and later Wray, were never investigated, smacks of an overt cover-up. And yet another black eye for the embattled FBI. The story is developing. Thomas Paine. That is the reporter that reported on this, and isn't it an interesting story? Explains a lot. It does. Hang on here. I'm going to get this kind of get this shaved down here so we can speed things up. I don't need that on either. All right, let's go back, and we've got plenty of news to get into. Now, this I think you will find interesting and heartwarming because, you know, El Paso, our boy Beto, and he is a boy, didn't want Trump to visit El Paso and told him to stay out of it. Well, we have news for Beto that, you know, President Trump is the president of the entire country. That means that he is also the president of El Paso and the president of Texas, whether you like it, Beto, or whether you don't. So suck it up, Buttercup. He went and he was well received. So here we go. Hero of El Paso shooting says Trump showed softer side during visit. Now, you see here, okay. El Paso, Texas, President Trump offered a gentler version of his presidency to survivors of the El Paso shooting during his visit to the Texas city, according to a baseball coach who heroically raced to the scene to save lives. One of the children went up to hug him, so he got down on one knee to let him, said Jimmy Villatoro, who described meeting the president at the city's University Medical Center where many of the wounded were treated. Now, excuse me, I've got to get this off here because it's very distracting to me. So it was a different side of him, one that you don't see in public, Villatoro said in an interview with the Washington Examiner. Trump's visit was mired in controversy. His anti-immigrant rhetoric was blamed by some opponents for inciting the rampage that left 22 people dead on Saturday. Hundreds of people joined a protest timed to coincide with the president's arrival, and Trump did not disappoint his critics with a public string of comments and tweets in which he derided Sleepy Joe Biden, accused the fake news of distorting coverage of his visit, and slammed his hosts on an earlier leg in Dayton, Ohio, saying their news conference after I left for El Paso was a fraud. But Villatoro said his personal touch away from the cameras was far from divisive and was welcomed by the people he met. There were no politics behind closed doors, he added. He made sure my family was okay, asking after my wife and son, he said. We met him face to face, and he and Melania were amazing, checking we were okay, offering any kind of help if we needed someone to talk to. We told him that Democrats, Republicans were all united in this city, as they should be. Incredible, and this is a tweet by Donald Trump. Incredible afternoon in El Paso, Texas. We love you and are with you all the way. And I'm not going to play that little clip of the motorcade, but Villatoro has become something of a local celebrity as details of his heroism spread. When a friend called in a panic on Saturday with news that his wife had been shot, he knew he needed to get to the scene. He knew there were other mothers and children outside the Walmart superstore running a lemonade stand to raise money for their soccer team. He arrived at the same time as a friend who ran straight to the canopy set up for the stall. He finds one of our coaches, Memo Garcia, said Villatoro. He had been shot 4 times. He and another coach had shielded a family so they could run. See, this brings tears to my eyes. It really does. These people never expected that they would face something like that when they got up and went to the mall or to Walmart that day. He led them to safety after they called to him from their hiding place behind a car in the parking lot. He helped get his friend's wounded wife, who had been shot in the leg, to an ambulance. But amid the chaos, the paramedics said they could only deal with the most critically wounded, so Villatoro got her to a passerby with a van who took her to the hospital. The gunman was still on the loose as Villatoro went back and forth in the parking lot, accounting for the soccer team's children and helping the wounded find transport. He did not stop to think about his own safety, he said. I just wanted to get the kids out of there, he said. That was the most important thing. It didn't cross my mind. When I think about it now, it was a crazy thing to do, but I wasn't thinking about that then. And I just,
this is the kind of people that are in America. You know, this to me personifies America, that spirit of not thinking about yourself, but running toward where the danger is and helping to make sure that the children are okay and that the wounded get help. It's incredible. And this man said that there was no politics with him, that he was very soft. They saw his softer side. He knelt down on one knee to hug a child. I mean, I don't know. I think that this is a story that makes us all feel good. So I wanted to be sure that you heard that. Now, again, I don't believe the official story, and I never will. But I do believe there were people murdered in cold blood that day. And so I'm not doubting that it occurred. I'm just doubting the narrative. I don't believe there was one fruiter because there are too many witnesses that say otherwise. So anyway, let's go back to the news now and continue. All right. And let's look at this. I may have to talk in code a little bit here, so excuse me for that. I think we all know why that is so. Now it says pictured, the Ohio fruiter wore ANTIFA mask and women's dress. A little odd. While performing in his death metal band, the Menstrual Munchies. Okay. Not a band I would even cross the road to see. In fact, you would have to, oh no, I was going to say you'd have to pay me to see that, but there's some things you just won't do for money, and that's one of them. The Dayton, Ohio mass fruiter was a member of a death metal band called the Menstrual Munchies and was pictured during one on-stage performance in an ANTIFA mask and a woman's dress. Well, isn't that special? As we reported earlier, the mainstream media is finally beginning to acknowledge that I'm going to call him CB, was a far left extremist who expressed support for anti-ICE terrorist and ANTIFA and the presidential candidacy of Elizabeth Warren, as well as retweeting numerous left-wing personalities and news outlets. Now, Death Metal Underground's Robert DeSanford reports that in a 2018 performance video posted to Facebook, since removed, BETTS dons a dress and a mask commonly worn by ANTIFA members. As a member of Menstrual Munchies, my gosh, that is, I mean, really, that even the name is offensive. But that BETTS was part of a grindcore music scene that had vehemently embraced ANTIFA, and according to DeSanford, could be responsible for the radicalization of heavy metal's first mass fruiter musician. Interesting. DeSanford notes that BETTS was friends with a similar band called Neckbeard Death Camp, which he claims had previously called for violence and killing of NAZIS, incels, and law-abiding citizens who happen to hold right-of-center political views. Anti-fascism, communism, and other radical left-wing ideologies have been increasingly promoted within the metal community since about 2013, when a number of popular metal journalists began gushing over the antics of ANTIFA and even started promoting their violence, writes DeSanford. And he goes on to make an important distinction that heavy metal music didn't radicalize BETTS, but a particular politicized strand of it called anti-fascist metal or red anarchist black metal. Therefore, it was not the music, but an ideology that only recently permeated the music that has contributed to the fruiters' aggression and isolation, he writes. While much media attention has been focused on what websites radicalized the EP, Fruiter, little interest has been shown in uncovering BETT's true motives. Some have speculated that his fruiting could have been a revenge attack for the EP massacre, given that BETTS was liking and interacting with tweets about the Walmart shooting hours before his own rampage. Interesting. But again, I don't know. I personally believe that this was straight MKULTRA. I think that it's pretty evident that it is a FF. So that is my stance on it, and I'm continuing to look into it. And I'm looking into the reports from Canada. There were the couple that was one was American, one was Australian. I think the guy was Australian and the woman was from the States, and they met traveling overseas, and he came over. They traveled up to Canada. Their burnt out vehicle was found, and then just south of that they found the burnt out vehicle of these two boys. And they found a professor also in that vicinity dead. So they found the boys. I'm sure you have heard that on the news. They found them. They are deceased. And there are a lot of questions that I have, because it does not make sense, and I can look at it backwards and forwards and sideways and every which way. It still does not make sense. And when something doesn't make sense, usually there's a reason. So I do believe that there's something else that is going on. I do have a theory, and I am looking into that. Unfortunately, because I've lost some time this week, I wasn't able to get that ready for today. Hopefully I will have that ready for you tomorrow, and we'll take a closer look at that, because something really stinks with it. And I am continuing to look into these other two fruitings. So there you go. But let's for now go back to here and pick up the news. Go on here. We have a lot to get to. In fact, I won't even get to it all in 2 videos. There's no way. Now, let's look at this. And again, I apologize deeply, but I may have to use some code words. Now, revealed, far left Ohio fruiter attended Antifa rally in May, armed with likely same bun he used in Saturday's mass fruiting. Interesting. The mass fruiter in Dayton, Ohio was identified by police on Sunday. The suspect, CB, was shot dead by police, but not before he killed 9 innocent people. The fruiter was pictured with satanic patches on his jacket in a previous photo via Robbie Starbuck. The patch Against All Gods is a Black Craft cult product. Here is what he tweeted on election night 2016. This is bad. He most definitely was not a Trump supporter, as they originally tried to paint him. Not at all. He hated Trump. The Twitter profile of Ohio mass fruiter CB included he, him, anime fan, metalhead, leftist, I'm going to hell and I'm not coming back. In his Twitter profile, the 24-year-old suspected gunman in the Dayton mass fruiting wrote he, him, anime fan, metal. Okay, that's just the same thing, and this is apparently him. Now, I know that there's people out there saying that this person was reported dead in 2014. Now, I did look into that briefly, and to me, I think it did not appear to be the same person to me. But I am going to look into that further, because there's more and more people saying that, and I don't know if they're just picking up on the original person that said that and, or if there really is something to it. So I'm going to check that out for you, and hopefully have that for you tomorrow, because I'd like to really check into that so I can be sure that I'm giving you the best information and not just going off my opinion. I do want to try to approach it in an unbiased manner. Now, and this is from his Twitter. It says, I want socialism. Oh, a yawn tried to come out. I'm glad I stopped it. I want socialism, and I'll not wait for the idiots to finally come around to understanding. And BETTS was a self-described leftist and ANTIFA fan. Now this, WHIO TV reported on Tuesday that BETTS attended an armed ANTIFA rally against the, this multiple EK people in May. So he was at a rally of the Triple K, and in May. That's not that long ago. Far left, BETTS was carrying the same bun that he used in his mass fruiting on Saturday night. Now, that is pretty important here. Now, I don't know if we have a picture of him with that or not. I don't think so. Doesn't appear that we do. The May 25th rally attracted about 500 to 600 counter-protesters who opposed the Triple K men who came from Indiana and protested in Courthouse Square. The counter-protest group was fenced off away from the Triple K, and several people in the crowd were seen carrying firearms. BETTS wore a bandana covering part of his face and sunglasses. He spoke briefly with a reporter in the crowd during the event. He carried a bun which appeared to be similar in style to the one used in Sunday's shooting. The Dayton Daily News reported Monday that a friend of BETTS told police that the would-be Dayton fruiter discussed mass fruitings, but the friend, Will L. Fakur, looks like Will L. Faker. Interesting, but it's probably not how you pronounce it. But the friend told the newspaper BETTS was definitely not a right-leaning person. His political views definitely leaned to the left. And it seems, if we're being told the truth, and that is a very big if, it would seem that he leaned to the left. But again, with it being legal to give us false evidence and false things, and propaganda is legal for whatever purpose. So we don't know if we're being told the truth anymore. We never know if we're being told the truth. I don't know. And it's sad that we've come to that, but we most definitely have. We most definitely have. But notice, everybody will jump on Trump and blame him for something. But here we have, he was a Bernie Sanders supporter and Elizabeth Warren supporter, but nobody's blamed them. Nobody's blamed them for the fruiting, have they? But yet in EP, they have blamed Trump. Odd, if you ask me. Always a double standard. Always a double standard. So anyway, let's go back because there's more to get to. Let's giddy up. Okay, and this, I like this. This is from August 6th, a couple days ago. Beto, phony name to indicate Hispanic heritage. O'Rourke, who is embarrassed by my last visit to the great state of Texas, where I trounced him, and is now even more embarrassed by polling at 1% in the Democratic primary, should respect the victims and law enforcement and be quiet. That is why I respect Trump, that right there. He doesn't take it. He just does not take it sitting down. And that is good. All right, now let's look at this, shall we? Of course we shall. All right. I hate those advertisements. Doctor reveals controversial secret to rapid weight loss. After watching these for a few times and it always popping up, I think, what's it trying to tell me? Anyway, Cory Booker demands all Trump rallies be canceled because they're a breeding ground for racism. Are they now? Really? Where did they get these people? Like, sometimes I even think to myself, are these real people? Like, do they actually think this way? Do they actually, is that their thought pattern? Like, really? I don't know. Like, it's hard for me to grasp this. Like, and I just want to tell you this briefly. I had a run-in while I was in Toronto, with a Muslim. And I have never had an experience like that in my life, and I hope I never do again. I came to the aid of a salesperson whose life, literally their life, was being threatened. And I'm not a person that can stand by and see something like that and not get involved. I wish that I could be more standoffish, but when I see something like that, there's something that rises up within me and I get involved. And I said, you cannot do that in Canada. That is illegal here. You cannot threaten someone's life. Well, this was a woman and her husband was with her, but her husband was very silent and standoffish, which I found was odd. But I said later to my mother and to my aunt, you know why he was like that? Because she does this all the time. This is nothing new to him, because if it was, he would have intervened, but it's not. So she was literally threatening this woman's life, and I said, you can't do that. Well, this woman got up like 2 inches from my nose, screaming, like spitting and screaming and just saying, I swear to Allah. And I just stood there. I wasn't intimidated at all. And yet I felt like there was a demon literally breathing into my face. Like it was really an eye-opening experience. And of course, she said to me, the clerk said, should I call security? And I said, yes. So she called security, but when security came, the person was of the same ideology. So it was most unfortunate, and they asked the clerk what happened, and they asked me what I had witnessed. And the woman again got into my face and she says, you liar, you're a liar. I swear to Allah that I tell the truth. I didn't say that. She's making it up. So anyway, she says, I swear to my God, I'm telling the truth. Do you swear to your God? And I said, I swear to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob that I am speaking the truth. And then she's like, she looked like she was going to spit on me. And then I said, and really, it doesn't matter if you swear to your God that you're telling the truth, because your God tells you to lie to infidels. Well, I thought I was going to die. But, and really the poor store clerk ended up, the woman had brought back this blouse. It had a huge run down the back of it. And the woman didn't have the tags, didn't have the receipt, but she had ruined the blouse and she was bringing it back now because she wanted her money back. And the clerk said, I can't take this back because, there's no tags, there's no receipt, and it's damaged. We would never have let something go out of our store damaged, and which makes perfect sense. Nobody, it was a very big flaw. There's nobody that would walk out and pay for that and walk out and not notice it. So anyway, and certainly the clerk, when she was folding it up and putting it into the bag, would have noticed it. So but because the security was of the same persuasion, the clerk ended up having to do anything to get this woman out of the store, which included giving her back the blouse that she was damaged, and giving her 2 more blouses. And the woman walked out screaming and yelling and so forth, but at least she was out of the store. And the clerk, when I went up to her, I said, she said to me, thank you, thank you. So she was crying at this point. It was extremely emotional. There was people gathering outside of the store, like looking in because they couldn't believe what they were seeing happening. And she said, thank you for standing up for me. Thank you. And I said, well, of course, I would want someone to do that to me. And she said, if we don't stand up, she said, I wanted to stand up because what she was doing was wrong. And because if we don't stand up, we're not going to have any more rights. And I said, you're right. And she said, and today's my birthday. And I said, oh, I'm so sorry. But, and it ended. But, of course, my aunt she says, look, Mishel, these are the type of people that are going to follow us home. And I said, well, I'm not all paranoid like that, but anyway, I'm going to stand up for what's right. But it's like this. It's like I was looking, and I was thinking about this, and I thought, I don't know. I see this on the news and everything, but when you experience it yourself, it does something to you, and you think there really are people like this who think like this, who don't care about anything except getting their own way and ripping off who they call the infidel. So yeah, there are people like Cory Booker, there are people like Bernie Sanders and AOC, and yes, they really do think this way, but it's very hard to understand that as people that are a little bit more reasonable. So anyway, let's look at this briefly. Cory Booker, never let a crisis go to waste, right? The left is using the back-to-back mass shootings as an opportunity to attack the Second Amendment, and now they're coming for 1A. Democratic senator in 2020 hopeful. Yeah, that's all he is hopeful. But I'm hopeful for lots of things. I hope that well, I was going to say I hope we'll win the lottery, but I don't because I don't even buy a ticket. But, there's hope. I hope for a lot of things that probably will never happen. And, his chance of winning the 2020, presidency is slim to none. Closer to none than slim. Anyway, he demanded Trump's Manchester rally next week and all future rallies be canceled. Now, why would he want that? Do you think it's really about fruitings? Of course not. It has nothing to do with fruitings. It has everything to do with them not liking that Trump is so popular and that, he gets his point across in these rallies and he wins people over. They don't like it because nobody's showing up for their rallies. Nobody cares really that they exist. But, there's Trump. He's like a rock star. People will stand in line for hours and hours and hours. They'll camp out waiting to get into a rally. But do you think anybody ever camped out to see Cory Booker? No, I don't think so. These rallies serve as a breeding ground for racism and bigotry that inspire white, this word, you have to be very careful with that word. I'm pointing with my finger like you can see it. This word right here. Attacks like the one in EP on Saturday, Cory Booker said in a statement, they are despicable and have no place in New Hampshire or anywhere else in our country. That's why Trump must cancel this rally. This is Aaron Turmel. 2 days before Cory Booker returns to New Hampshire, Donald Trump is planning to hold a rally in Manchester. These rallies serve as a breeding ground for racism and bigotry that inspire white, these kind of attacks like the one in EP on Saturday. Well, do they really now? Right. Sure they do. This is for immediate release, August 6, 2019. Cory for New Hampshire State Director. Donald Trump must cancel New Hampshire rally. Since when does somebody like Cory Booker tell Donald Trump what to do? He's the president, for goodness sakes. He's the president of the entire country. Manchester, New Hampshire. Very nice place, actually, Manchester, New Hampshire. Just wanted to say that. It would be ruined if, He'd ruin everything, Cory Booker. Aaron Turmel, Cory for New Hampshire State Director, released the following statement ahead of Donald Trump's planned rally in Manchester next week. 2 days before Cory Booker returns to New Hampshire, Donald Trump is planning to hold a rally in Manchester. And as we've seen repeatedly over the last few years, these rallies serve as a breeding ground for racism and bigotry that inspire white attacks like the one in EP on Saturday. They are despicable and have no place in New Hampshire or anywhere else in our country. That's why Trump must cancel this rally. Instead, Trump should call on Congress to take meaningful action on gun legislation. If he needs ideas, Cory Booker has the boldest plan of anyone to address gun violence. Everybody, collective eye roll, please. You feel better, don't you? I knew you would. Including by creating a federal licensing program that evidence shows is highly effective. But he could start with the background checks passed by House Democrats in February. What's overwhelmingly clear is that Trump coming to New Hampshire will only stoke further dangerous acts and threaten American safety. Our country deserves better in the Oval Office. Yeah, and you think Cory Booker is going to be better? Really? Okay. And you know what they'll do? Let me just say, I think I know what they do. If Trump does hold his rally in Manchester, and I believe he will, they may pull off another FF and blame it on the rally, because that's what these people are all about. That's what they're all about. Violence. And false Fs. You know. Using Cory Booker's logic, Elizabeth Warren should cancel all of her rallies because the Dayton, Ohio fruiter was a hardcore leftist member of ANTIFA who praised Pocahontas. Pocahontas Warren. Yeah, we know who that is. Alrighty then. Interesting, no? I think it's pretty interesting. So let's see here. It's 10:10 if you're on medication, and I did want this video to be rather short. It's probably about 40 minutes at this point. Let me say one more thing. Let me do one more, and then I will stop and upload this and begin the next one. I'm telling you, I'm always... There's a cattail right here. I was looking down and I thought, what am I wearing that's white? It's a cat. Hi. Now, that's just cute. I don't care who you are. That's just adorable. And I'm getting a little bit sensitive about all these doctor reveals controversial secret to rapid weight loss. Why are they always targeting me? I don't know. Are they trying to tell me something? Okay, it begins. Death camps to all Trump supporters. Flyers posted in New York. Yeah. New York, flyers were posted on Tuesday calling for death camps to all Trump supporters. Now, I know, I'm a couple days late, but I've been out of the picture for a couple days. So, New York is increasingly intolerant of conservative beliefs. New York is becoming more communist by the day as flyers were posted in Long Island calling for violence against the American president. Why is it okay for them, but, you know, seems nobody says anything about that. As long as, you know, they're calling for violence toward Trump supporters or calling for violence towards Trump, no, everybody seems to be just A-okay with that. So, the left wants to commit genocide on Trump supporters. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. I'm sorry, but I would probably Pachago. Flyers read death camps for Trump supporters. Flyers hung on street posts and parking meters, and I'm not sure how to. Somebody please spell that out for me and sound it out for me so I know how to pronounce that. I don't want to desecrate an actual name of a place. Anyway, read death camps for Trump supporters now. The photos were taken by members of the Shock Theater Collective, a group that lays on haunted house that lays on haunted house tours and horror scenarios, but the company said it was not responsible for creating or posting the flyers. Suffolk County Police said they weren't alerted to the flyers, which now appear to have been removed. Just remember, love trumps hate. So there you go. I thought that was pretty interesting. Pretty horrifying too, that there are people out there that actually think like that. Okay, now I'm going to stop there for now, and I'm going to get this uploaded, and I will be back with a second video to get us kind of semi caught up with the news. Not entirely, but semi caught up. All right. So that's it for now. Thank you guys so much. And I've missed you over the last 2 days, and I know probably some of you missed me as well. Yes, that looks funny, doesn't it? It just, I don't know, it just looks like it doesn't belong. Hey, Xander, are you going to say hello? Or are you just going to lie there like dead cat? Hey. Well, he's zonked. He's been ripping things apart. So, yeah, he's tired now. All right. Anyway, you guys have a great night. Stay safe, stay blessed, stay, I don't know, hydrated. I don't know. That's the first thing that came into my mind. Anyway, keep seeking truth because deception bites.